Tony Abbott and the government is promoting the retention of metadata for 2 years. He's made the case about terrorism and crime. Today he's emphasising how important metadata might be in preventing child pornography rings and pedophile rings. He has a point here. It would be a most effective weapon for the authorities to combat these crimes.
The reality is, Chris, that metadata is already used by our law enforcement agencies in detecting and bringing perpetrators to justice. You only had to look at some of the, there's at least a couple of recent high-profile cases in which we had metadata being capable of being used to track down perpetrators. That is already being used by law enforcement.
So the Prime Minister is right to want to insist that telecommunications company keep that metadata for 2 years.
But the issue is quite different here, Chris. On one hand, we already have the ability for law enforcement agencies to use metadata. The other hand, we have the proposal that the government's putting forward, which includes retention of this data for 2 years. And you need to remember that, amongst other things, there has been absolutely no clarity on how these costs will end up being met. There's been absolutely no clarity on whether or not 2 years is what is required. We currently have an inquiry being undertaken by the Parliament, and I believe we need to see the results of that inquiry before we go off legislating in this direction. We need to make sure that any recommendations from that inquiry are taken up as well.
Okay, Michelle Rowland in Orange today. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure, Chris.